how are you doing this morning? It was a daylight savings time situation over here last night, so we did the whole fall back thing, which means it's 10:43 a.m. here right now. But in my normal time, as it were, it would be 11:43. So I'm a little bit off on that. When I last logged out, I think I was trying to put some stuff in the depot and whatnot. I did make it over there and get that done, but now I have headed over to Pearl Honeywine in Qeynos Harbor to update her on the Disturbance quest. So here we go. Pearl says, "Have you learned anything new?" And I say, "I believe the Dakota are paying the road collect to look for rare substances." She says, "The Dakota? Very interesting. I knew there had been an old connection, however tenuous, between Dakota and other Rodentia. This is rather disturbing. I'll need to confer with my associates before we proceed. Once I hear back, we may need your assistance again." I say, "Check back with you." And then I'll accept that, and here she is with another quest, so I'll pick that up. She says, "Oh, good to see you again. Have you got a spare moment?" And I say, "Of course. What can I do for you?" She says, "My colleagues and I are having some doubts about the rare substance theory. It's possible the Roguelike are only doing what the Dakota asked of them, but there must be something else at work." I say, "You want me to talk with the surveyor and engineer again?" She says, "They might have told you all they know already. I'm sure the Dakota are keeping things pretty quiet. In my line of work, I've often found that those who actually do the work know more than their supervisors suspect." I say, "So the Roguelike actually doing the digging might be a better resource?" She says, "Yes. See if you can talk with one of their miners or excavators. I'm sure they'll know a bit more about what exactly they're supposed to be mining or excavating. Perhaps your previous contacts can direct you to the right places, without knowing how helpful they're really being." And I'll say, "I'll see what I can find out." All right, so good times were had by all. And they are telling me in the quest, which is now updated to Revelation, speak with Surveyor Minnick in the Common Lands. Let's see how we look on our inventory space. It's not great, it could be better, certainly. But I can sell this. That's a fairy antenna. I do have a couple of status point items I could knock out, but I don't really know that that would be beneficial for me at this time very much. I do also see that old Bolden Smitestone has a quest available, and I do have room in my journal, so that'll be what I'm going to do right now. He says, "Now is the time we must band together and find what's left of the Feerrott." So we're going to talk to him. This would have been the Feerrott access quest, I believe, at that time. So here we go. Bolden Smitestone.
Call me daft and say that it will never happen. I wonder how many said the same before the rise of the Second Ralosian Empire. I've sent a few adventurers such as you on expeditions to recover signs that may lead me to the Feerrott, but I've had little luck. That is until I learned of an alliance between the Ralosian army and the Deathfist orcs.
What can I do?
Go to the Orcish wastes and find artifacts that will lead us to the Feerrott. Maps, journals, whatever you can find.
I can do that. All right, so now let's search the Feerrott.
Real fire burning in your soul. When you find the way to the Feerrott, return to the docks in the steppes. I'll wait for you there. I have a feeling you might need me along for the ride.
Okay, and that's going to be the ship ride to the Feerrott situation. My adventure vitality is currently 0.7. My adventure experience is 83.4% through the level. Let's see where we're at with the not the AA points. We want to know about the trade skill level. 72% into the level and 34% vitality. So I think with that in mind, I'm going to hop over to the Willow Wood, dump this fairy antenna to a merchant, and then go do a little bit of crafting this morning and hopefully get that last level so that I can make myself some jewelry. Because even though I've been upgrading my jewelry with things that I've been finding from drops or quest item rewards, I could definitely use some better jewelry right now. So first and foremost sell that fairy antenna that is not, I believe, a lore and legend piece. Yeah, that's just a regular fairy antenna. Get rid of that one, just to get ourselves a little bit more space in the inventory. And then let's go over to the guild house so that I can do a little bit of crafting. Just make sure I have the quest. Would be a city trade skill task. There it is. However, I obviously already have things checkmarked, so knock those off. Not that. City trade skill tasks, which is tarnished silver. So I did pick that up last time I was down in the trade skill instance, I believe. Let's go to Bergeron's home, and I need to plug in my laptop real quick. All right, got that out of the way. Did not succeed in clicking the visit button before I went to plug in the laptop, so we have a second to wait. All right. I do think that I've deposited everything from my bags into these depots, but I'll make sure because, hey, why not? You know, trying to get a little bit more out of the bags is never a bad idea while I'm here. All right, and actually, I'll go ahead and deposit into here as well because I know I have Granville's dining table. All right, excellent. Got rid of all that. That looks a little bit better. And now we're going to change into the crafting outfit right there. And open up, well, you know what? I don't even need to open up the knowledge book right now for this because I have made this hotbar over here, below right, for crafting at this level. I do need to check and see if I need to update it soon, but for now, let's do opaline elemental stud. I'm gonna go over to the trade skills window just so that I can see what's going on over here. I think actually that I'm going to redo this real quick because I do have this hotbar over here and I want to sort across by level. That might be a good way to do it. You know, let's just try category first and see what it does. That ought to have all of my stuff together, but as I suspected, it did not get rid of the old stuff. It kept the old stuff as well as the new stuff to do it like that. So we will sort by level as previously considered. And while we get this next stud knocked out, we'll go and have a look and see what the highest level thing is. It's radiant cut. Do I have a radiant cut on this? Yes, I do. Which indicates that my my hotbar is probably exactly where it needs to be. I know that I have psychokinesis on the bar, right there. So I obviously have updated my hotbar correctly to the level that we need to be at. Excellent. So I'll shut down that window and I'll just use this this hotbar over here that I made. You can do a lot of things with the hotbars regarding their size and shape. So if, as a matter of fact, if I wanted to make this a lot smaller, I could do that. there's a lot of options in this for such things. So you could, it's currently at 42. You could make it a lot smaller, you could make it a lot bigger. So just so you know, that's a thing that you can do and make it fit whatever space you want it to, really, for your crafting endeavors, so that it doesn't get in the way of what you're doing when you're out adventuring and things like that. Looks like Claw logged out. Recall and Mist are still there, but I think they might be AFK. Cancel out of that window. We've got Baffle Adversaries next. I don't actually know who this is for. Let's see. It's a brigand spell. That explains it, because I've not made a brigand yet. So, I wasn't familiar with the name Baffle Adversaries. I suspect it stuns them. I wonder if it makes them lose their target. Let's see. It doesn't do either one. Totally wrong. The, sort of totally wrong. Mostly wrong. It decreases the threat of the target by 1 position, and by some amount of threat to target by 712. So it does make them lose their target in that it decreases the threat of their target by 1 position. But it doesn't stun them. It would be cool if it did. So we'll say I was halfway wrong. Let's see here. 75% into the level means I probably will not get the level from this one writ. I might, but I don't think so, because I'm not going to have any... There's not going to be any new pristine bonus triggers off of this, I don't think. And I do have Vitality, so I will get double XP. I don't know that it'll be enough to completely level me, but regardless, I'll finish this one, pick up the next one, and that ought to level me. And then, the cool part about that is that what I need in order to make the jewelry that I want for this character is the level 38 jeweler book, advanced, obviously, and so I'll be able to make some ruthenium, technically. Realistically, it depends on if I can find some ruthenium, probably at reasonable prices on the broker. I know that there's at least one that I have available to me, but I don't know about more than that. I also might want to check into my spells. I know that I have some new spells that I need to update, or upgrade, I should say, to either Adept 3 or Master, depending on what I can find, and what the prices are looking like. And that's going to help a lot with my ability to go out and do some of this stuff without others joining me. I've been playing very casually, just taking it easy all the way around. So I'm not going out specifically looking for a group in general or anything like that. I've been willing to help other people if they need help. Um, and obviously, if I have the opportunity to go out and group with guildmates, I'm always going to take that opportunity. But otherwise, uh, just slow and steady. And so it does help to have reasonable gear on and reasonable upgrades on your spells. It makes a big difference in just your ability to quickly and efficiently do the quests that you've been assigned. So yeah, if I can move more in that direction, that would be helpful. So it's a little ways away, but if I get that level, then I'll first check and see if the number 28 or 38, sorry, volume 38 of the jeweler book is in the depot. If it's not, I'll see, what the price looks like on the broker. Then check into whether or not I can get my hands on some ruthenium easily, or if I need to just go and gather and see if I can pick it up that way. Which I don't mind doing. We need more harvests in the depot always anyway. We have a lot of people who like to craft in the guild, and they need supplies to be able to do that. So we all pitch in here and there on the gathering, and it might be about time for me to do some as well. So, or some more, I should say. It's pretty, I don't know, it seems like it's more rare of a rare than some of the others. The ruthenium doesn't seem to want to pop up quite as much. And of course, any kind of mages need that for their spells, I believe, at this level. So the ruthenium is something that is in high demand and in less supply. So I would expect that it'll be fairly expensive. I just remembered I did buy a couple of ruthenium on the broker, so I guess I have 3 of them that I can use. I did find a couple of them. I don't remember if it was last night or the night before on the broker for only let's see, I think it was 84 gold, which is ridiculously cheap. I had to go to the house to get it, the person's house, but for the price, it was definitely well worth it. So I do have a few pieces I can use, and then I'll definitely want to see what's available. So. At some point, I also need to bring some things in. I know that one of Garrigram's characters dumped, I think, a lot of arrows into the guild bank because I believe that character is an evil character and has a little bit of trouble getting over to this house. So he had dumped them into there and asked me to pick them up and take them to the depot. I still need to do that. Should have gone ahead and grabbed them while I was there at the bank a little bit ago, but I didn't think about it. Maybe I can remember to do so after I get out of here and go get the next quest. Maybe I can grab them on my way. We'll see. In the meanwhile, I'll randomly click the wrong button to counter that event. Or in my case, not to counter the event, but rather just to fail to counter the event. Now, in addition to the time change happening over here for daylight savings time, it's also rather brisk outside. And so I'm sitting here in a jacket inside because I've gone to my cousin's house for this morning's streaming, and she has yet to turn on any kind of heat, so I'm just freezing. Freezing is what I'm doing. It's just, a Southerner's version of freezing, not a, not a New York version, or, certainly not Wisconsin freezing. I was having a look over at the general chat, and wow, what are they talking about? Suzlu says, once we reach max level, how snotly is it? How snotty? How snotty is it? What does it mean? And then they elaborated as far as grouping. How snotty is it as far as grouping? Darkfeather says not snotty at all, to be honest, unless you're Ram Juice. Someone comes straight to Ram Juice's defense. Ram Juice is an amazing player. The response is amazingly bad. And then the person who asked how snotty it is now gone on to say, what do you mean by snotty? Well, hey, that's a good question. What do you mean by snotty? That's interesting. And someone responds in like kind. Darkfeather says, what do you mean by snotty? That was my question. Oh, very interesting. Sometimes you see strange things in the guild, or not the guild chat. This is in the general chat. Bugmain suggests that perhaps it means covered in viscous liquid. It's a good question. How covered in viscous liquid is it at max level? If anyone has any response to that, let me know, because I'm not at max level, and I didn't even realize viscous liquid was involved. But let's see here. Let's chase this thread of conversation. Suslu continues. Really, though, how snotty is it once we reach max level? As far as grouping. Darkfeather once more asks, what do you mean by snotty? Oh my. Okay. Well, I feel like we've come full circle. Huh. Suslu continues. Anyone online know? No. No one knows. It's a real question. It's a conundrum. How much viscous liquid? Valric is now asking for a definition of snotty in this case. I'm so distracted by chat, I'm once more clicking the wrong buttons to counter events. Doing great. This is the danger of crafting. You can get distracted by the general chat, and you just never know where that's going to go. All right, completed that work order. We're now at 83.5%. So certainly we want to go turn that in. I'm going to try to remember to pick up those arrows on my way back in to dump in the depot. the unfortunate part of this is that I can't just, well, I can, I suppose, just dump them in, especially because I'm using level 17 arrows, and I believe these may be level 27 arrows, possibly, that he stuck in the guild thing. So let us see what we're looking at first and foremost. And maybe someone already did it, but no, they didn't. So, since that's the case, I think I'll just unload them, dump it all in, and then refill my arrows from this lot of stuff when I get there. That may be the most efficient way to do it. Perhaps. It doesn't want to auto inventory for me. That's a sad day. Gotta drag it to each slot. Shucky darns. Let's see here. We may as well pick up some totems as well. While here, I'm going to leave at least one stack of the vision totem of the butterfly just in case anybody on the evil side might want them. And not be able to very easily get them from the bank. I'm going to take a bunch of the rest of this over to the depots just to give a little bit of room in the guild bank. Nobody so far seems to have been pulling from the totems here. So I'm going to take most of them to the depot. I'll leave just, a little representation of what we've got there in there. So there we go. Good enough for the moment. Turn this one in and pick up the next one. Now, I had been at 83%, I'm at 86.8% now. Wow. Failed to click the button. There we go. Managed it that time. It's these small things in life that really matter. Alright, so we picked that up. Let's hop over to Vigaro's house. Get this crafting show on the road. But first, let us not forget to deposit these various totems first and foremost into this, and then we'll work on the arrows, which will be pretty fast comparatively. And it'll be great because then I'm going to be using level 27 arrows instead of level 17 arrows. It's going to make a big difference in the damage output of those. Okay, so we're going to deposit all. Then we're going to sort by level and just fill up the quiver with these. 10 slot quiver. It's not huge, but honestly, it doesn't need to be, really, because I end up coming back to the house often enough for various things that I don't really need a huge number of stacks of arrows while I'm out. Alright, now we need the opaline noxious stud. I will remind everyone that if you're on the level of opaline and you are doing writs and typing in what you want like that, be sure to do at least the OPALI, because if you don't put that I on there, it's going to pull up your opal things and you accidentally click to make a rare when in fact you want to make a common version. If you make the rare, you'll have first of all possibly wasted your rare on something you didn't want, and second of all, it will not update crafting rate. Now I believe this writ will should definitely finish off level 37 and get me up to level 38 so that I can make that jewelry. We'll see. Also, I looked into my settings on the alert sounds today, and I think that I fixed it so that it won't be quite so loud and obnoxious. I had tried to do that on a different day, but somehow I had 2 alert boxes, and I think I fixed the wrong one. So hopefully the alert sounds won't be as ear splitting when something happens. We'll see. I'm gonna make some blade frenzies. I also looked into the raid thing on Twitch. I don't know a lot about it, but I do want to try to remember to give it a shot and see if I can figure out how to raid somebody's channel. Thus far, I've tried it a couple of times, did like /raid channel name, and it did not work. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong there, but hopefully I can manage to do that. It did find the button on the phone, because you got to remember I'm not using a second monitor because I don't have the ability to do that with this laptop, and I also don't have a second monitor. So that's 2 big issues with using a second monitor. So I'm using my phone as the chat window, and it's just not quite as versatile as a second monitor would be. So I'm having to kind of figure things out a little bit differently. And I think that I've found the button to press for rating. I'm going to try to remember to give that a try before I get off today. Whether that will be effective or not remains to be seen. But it'll be an interesting experiment anyway. I've been trying to go through and look at my followers' pages to see if they do any streaming, and if they do some streaming, I've been following them in the hopes of being able to raid one of my streamers when I log off. I don't know if I've gotten everybody. I think that I have, but you never know. So if I missed you on my followers list, be sure to let me know that. Hopefully I got everybody, and then I think that in order to raid somebody, they have to be active at the time that you do it, and I think that's why I failed the first time I tried. But I tried again to someone who had told me that they were raiding at that time, and it still didn't work. So I'm not completely convinced that I have this figured out. And like I said, I did look into it this morning. I found a little button I can choose on here. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Remains to be seen, really. In the meanwhile, we're 90.3% of the level in, and we still have 25.8% vitality remaining. there was something else I was thinking about. Oh yeah, totally off topic of anything related to really anything. But I finished reading Brave New World to my son last night. I'd never read it before, shockingly. Um, and I'm pretty unimpressed, actually. I had expected it to be a lot better than it actually was. I was hoping for deeper content. It being a classic and pushed by the educational system to be read, thought, well, maybe, it would be something thought provoking, um, or let's say a lot more thought provoking than it was. And I'm trying, to take into consideration that it was published in 1932 and things were a lot different in 1932. Maybe this was a big deal and a thought experiment at the time. But let's just say that now in 2025, it's a lot less impactful. It's certainly not as shocking as I'm sure it was again in 1932. And I mean, things were very different in 1932. So I'll give him that. But I wanted something a little more profound than what I found in that book. One thing that it did bring back to my mind was that there's another book called, I believe it's called John Dies at the End. And I was thinking, I wonder, and I've never read the book John Dies at the End, but I wonder if that's actually a reference in some way to Brave New World. I don't know if it is or not, but it seems like it very likely could be. And I don't even remember who that book John Dies at the End was written by. I just remember it being something that my brother was reading a few years back, and I thought it was an interesting name. And I wondered at the time, well, does John in fact die at the end? But now, having read Brave New World, I wonder if it was in fact a reference to that, and may have nothing whatsoever to do with anyone named John dying or not dying at the end. Anyway, just some deep thoughts, but not very deep, which I guess is the point I'm going to. Aldous Huxley, you disappointed me. There is another book that Aldous Huxley wrote, I believe called The Island. I think that's right. And all I know about it is that it was something that he wrote later in life, and he had said something to the effect of that he had written previously about dystopian societies, and he wanted to write about a utopian society. I think that's strange because, the whole point of the dystopia concept is that there can be no utopia, there can be no utopian society. It makes me a little bit curious about that, but not perhaps curious enough to read it because realistically, the writing style was not especially entertaining. I think that you're not reading Brave New World for the engaging writing. You're reading it because you're looking for something a little deeper, more complex, and like I said, so it's like a thought-provoking concept, right? Not even a thought-provoking story necessarily, but a thought-provoking concept. I found at the end of Brave New World that I did not feel that I gained really anything at all from reading it, and not only that, the characters weren't that engaging. I didn't really care about any of them, and I also didn't find that the storyline was completed for the vast majority of them. There was no, I don't know, there was not a lot of, not much good I have to say really about it, except that I'm sure it was a lot more shocking at the time and hit that audience a lot better, 100 years ago almost than it did for me today. I intend to read some something else that a friend of mine is wanting me to read soon, and it's a little bit of a philosophical book. So we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know when we well, hopefully I'll remember to let you know when we get into that a little bit. But anyway, all this actually, he also wrote man, I can't think of the name of it, but it's not a fictional story. It's just a more more like this, more philosophical um, than fictional. And I don't know how that would be. I think I read the first couple of pages of it at my friend's house, but didn't get into it too deeply, so I can't really weigh in. I definitely prefer Fahrenheit 451, hands down, over Brave New World. I have yet to read 1985, 1984. Sorry about that. Brain not working. Didn't read it either way. But I do think that'll be one on the list of things that I want to read. I've always kind of intended to, just never really got around to it. We'll see how it goes, you know. I enjoyed Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. It's a short story, very quick read. If you haven't read it, you should. It's, in my opinion, an interesting short story. It's conceptually interesting and much better written as far as engaging writing is concerned. I think I was more invested in the two characters that are introduced in that short story of just a few pages than I was in the entirety of Brave New World with its multiple key characters and God, I don't know, 200 and maybe 250 pages. It's not really. It's not really a full novel length. I guess it's more of a novella to me. It was interesting that the afterword of the version that I was reading actually was, you know, probably at least a third as long as the book itself. So I kind of glanced through that. I didn't read it because I wasn't really interested in reading the afterword. It was just explaining about basically, I think, the times and how these different things meshed with what was going on in the world at the time and things like that. So I glanced through it, but again, I was reading this to my son, so I wasn't. I didn't really spend a lot of time looking into what was in the afterward. If you guys have any opinions on any of these books, you're welcome to weigh in as well. You know, there's a conversation to be had there, I think. In the meanwhile, 95.7% in the way of the way, rather, through level 37. So that should be happening very soon. Probably when I turn in the writ, but maybe after I make the second item in this segment. We'll see. It's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be when I turn it in. Let's see. That was 95 point. Okay, so that gives me 1 point. what was it, 1.1% or maybe less. I didn't pay enough attention to the number. It may have actually been 29% for the one item, in which case it's definitely going to be when I turn in. Either way, I've already managed to remember to grab the arrows from the guild bank and the totems and transport them over to the depot, so I'm feeling like I've already accomplished something, one way or another. I think, even though I'm not going to have leveled yet, since I think I'm going to level on the turn-in, I'm going to go and see if the Advanced Jeweler number 38 is in the depot, and go ahead and grab that in preparation for the leveling event. Find my way out, if I can remember to. I'm flighty, you know? Alright, so there's that. Currently at 97.6%. It's gonna be a close one, actually. I think it'll level me, but we'll see. One way or another, I'm going to see about Advanced Jeweler 38. And it is there, so I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Let's see what's in it real quick. Various things. Yes, it does have the ruthenium, so grab that one. See if we can get this level. With a swift turn in to old Reinar Kimst. And it did. So, amazing. Great. Wondrous.
I greet you.
We'll pick up the next one. And then have a look at this more thoroughly. Wherever it may be. There it is. Okay, so in this book, we're going to get Alan's Calming Serenade, Bloodthirster, Cat's Paw, Clara's Crazed Cacophony, Condemning Blade, Raven Delight, Crippling Blade, Fashioned Facedeal Idol, Fashioned Ruthenium Band, Fashioned Ruthenium Bangle, Fashioned Ruthenium Hoop, Fashioned Ruthenium Torque, Harl's Kindling Strain, Imbued Ruthenium Band of Agility, Stamina, Strength, Raxel's Vivacious Descant, Swashbuckler Reproach, Trick Arrow, and Upgrade. Very nice. I like it. Let's do it. Cool. And then, just for curiosity's sake, let's see how much a Ruthenium cluster is going for at the moment. On the broker. Okay, that's not too bad. There are some I can pick up from Willow Wood for 99 gold at Blythe's. I think I'm going to. Oh, man. A couple there, and one from Flintlocke, also in Willow Wood. Okay, so we've got Blythe and Flintlocke. Flintlocke. Seems like a good idea to pop over there and grab those ruthenium clusters while they're available. Under a platinum for a ruthenium is very nice. Alright, so we've got Blythe. Let's see if he's paid his rent. He has. That's great. Good job, Blythe. Top. Right into a mirror. Nice. Alright. Then let's see here. He's got his boxes over here. We want ruthenium. And there they are. So let's go ahead and grab both of those. So I already had 2 to work with. And so now I'll have 3 more, which will give me a total of 5 pieces of ruthenium to deal with. So we got Flintlocke. who has another piece here. Interesting. Only 2 of the salesman crates. Huh. Alright. Alright, we'll leave this house, go toss that into the depot, and actually, while I'm out here, I'm gonna go get the regular advance, or no, not the regular advance, that makes no sense. The regular Jeweler 38 book. So that next time I undertake to do some writs, I will have everything I need. So, now to Vergaro's house. And I can craft myself some of that jewelry that is going to be very, very helpful for me. Let's throw these things in here. Alright, Ruthie, what do we have here? First and foremost, let's check out these rings. Yeah, that's going to be good. I like it. So I think I'm going to make a couple of rings to start with, and let's see what we're at as far as items. Yeah, we're really low on that tier of items, so I'm definitely going to have to go out and do a bit of harvesting later on. Because we're using a lot of harvests at this level for each item. It's definitely going to be a good idea. So, but to start with, make a couple of these. And then it looks like I'll have to be taken off here pretty soon, not quite yet. So I'm gonna have to try to remember to do the raid. I want to make these rings first, and then I'll see if I can figure out that whole raid thing. I made the first ring, but then I'll have to imbue the rings also, so it won't just be a matter of make it, and then be done with it. I'm gonna try to make sure I don't make the wrong level of this ring. Let's try to get a good one, right? We want a pristine one. Had to work on that a minute because I was not paying attention and was getting down low there. Alright, so we got a couple of those, and then what I'm going to want is the Band of Strength. Now, if we look on this, if we view it with this, then on a melee hit, this spell has a 3% chance to cast a Blaze of Strength on caster, lasts for 45 seconds, increases strength of caster by 11.8, and increases DPS of caster by 19.4. So, we definitely want to have one of those, so let's do that. And I think that they don't stack, as I recall. So I may want to do one of strength and then one of something else. Do I want to do agility or stamina? Let's see here. In this server, Stamina increases your maximum health by 4.3 per point and increases your chance to shrug off or completely resist the effects of a spell. Whereas agility enhances your ability to dodge attacks. I think we want to go more with stamina because we're gonna build for a group, and so less likely to be under direct attack, and more likely to be hit with an AE, like especially like spells, but also just an AE or AoE attack. Alright, so we got that made quick and easy. And so now we have a band of stamina and a band of strength. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put those both on right away, because those are going to be very much better than what I currently had on, even though they're not the things that need to be replaced the worst. They will be very helpful, and it was the first thing on the list. So that's 2 of the items that I can replace. I'm definitely going to do the earrings next, but for now, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do the raid thing real fast. Let's see if this works or not. Again, it's been ineffective so far. Oops, I clicked the button. Who knows what that did? Maybe this is the right one. All right. So I click on the raid channel and it tells me no raidable channels available for your channel. I have no idea why that would be the case. So apparently I am just incapable of doing that right now for some reason. Maybe I need to do something in settings, or maybe just no one is streaming that I'm following right now. Not really sure. But one way or another, it's apparently not something I can do right now, unfortunately. Maybe later. For now, I'm going to have to run. So it was a pleasure streaming with you all. If you're not following me at the moment, be sure to follow me and turn on notifications so that you can see when I go live. I've got to go get some stuff done, and I'll be back in within an hour, I think. So I will see you all then. Bye-bye.